on Honrud with Old Man Stories. I'm here with Al Senger and Roland Willits. These two fellows are retired truck drivers.
Al's
retired. Well, you're kind of retired, but
Well,
you were a truck driver in your
I
younger
was
days.
a truck driver. Yes, I drove truck. Yeah,
Yeah,
I always.
in your college days.
Yes, I always. When I graduated from college, I said, "Well, I have this BS in philosophy, and I can drive truck. So I can earn a living driving truck." It just so happened the military decided they were going to send a draft notice, or my life might have been a truck driver forever.
Yeah, well, that's what Al. Well, BS in philosophy. You have a BS in philosophy too, Al, don't you?
Yes,
I think you do. Yeah, yeah. So you're.
What's philosophy?
I don't know.
That's, for truck drivers, that's opinions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh wow, isn't that so? Now you fellas started out, a number of years ago when things were, not quite as modern as they are today. Both of you ran out of the cities there. Worked driving truck out of
Minneapolis.
St. Paul,
Yeah.
and the different companies.
He
few
worked.
years
No,
ago.
I drove for the same company.
Well, no, I mean you two drove for different companies.
We drove for different, but we worked at similar places. We both worked at the Star and Tribune.
Wow. Yeah.
Different time frames. Within a year though. And
Isn't that amazing?
we both worked for Whitty for a while.
Wow.
Yeah, so we crossed paths. It's like, hey, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's sort of micro touching.
What year are we talking about?
In the
Approximately?
60s, half century
In the
ago.
early 60s?
Half century ago, yeah. That was a little.
Things have changed an awful lot since then. And then when you started, but you spent how many years out driving?
Driving? 30.
30 years.
Well, actually about 37, because I drove for Bell Upper Pole, and then I had my own rig for 3 years.
Wow, isn't that something?
Isn't it?
You got a lot of miles behind the wheel.
He did.
How many?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I drove 1 million miles in the Twin Cities
Whoa.
Without an accident.
without an accident.
That
That's
is
incredible.
you got it. That is absolutely.
If I was going on a bus
They
trip.
even give me a plaque. With,
Wow.
Wow. If I was going on a bus trip, I wish you were my bus driver.
Yeah, I never had an accident on the road or never.
Wow. That is
Never got a
just-
ticket for speeding.
That is
you were
absolutely
you were-
spectacular.
You were a one-of-a-kind
He
employee.
was. Yes, he was. He
Yeah.
was. I can't claim the same record. No.
Oh,
We won't talk about my record. We won't talk about my drive, which actually was pretty good, but it wasn't anywhere near Al.
but,
Yeah.
but the company I drove for was a very good company. Very good.
What was the name of that company?
Century Motor
Century
Freight.
Motor Freight. I remember that.
Century's still around. You see a lot. You still see Century trucks out on the road.
Yeah, a lot of the big trucking companies have changed their names
Oh,
over the
yeah.
years, And, I worked for a trucking company when I was out of high school. As a matter of fact, I worked in an office in Moorhead, Minnesota.
And you
Twin City Fargo Freight out of Minneapolis.
That's right.
TCF, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you were in the freight business. Did you work the docks?
I know. I worked in the office. I was
Yes.
a rate clerk and kind of a bookkeeper. I did all the office duties for our branch line of Twin
That's
City
right.
Fargo.
A mind person.
Yeah, I was.
A mind person.
I did everything. I even pushed the broom, cleaned the office.
That's right.
So I wasn't that important. But I was the only office employee,
That's
so I had to do
right.
everything.
That's right. That's right. And when I was at younger, I mean that guy in the office was someone super special because that's where I got my paycheck.
Mhm. Yeah.
And if they decided to be an SOB, all of a sudden they didn't quite get the payroll out until a day late.
Oh boy, yeah.
Ever happened to you, Al?
Never.
Oh,
Century was a good company.
Oh, that's pretty
Everything
good.
was on schedule all the time.
that's awesome.
Yeah. We had a girl dispatcher, which everybody listened to. In fact, she's still a good friend of mine.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that great? Wow. So, you guys got any interesting stories of your truck driving?
Oh, we just heard him walking out the door here. We just heard he was, that he went through this hail of gunfire.
Well, I never told my wife about it till after I retired.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was coming out of Indianapolis one night into Chicago to our terminal, and I got about on 55, just a mile from our terminal. Our terminal was in Cicero, and all of a sudden I heard this.
Man.
And I looked and there's my mirrors been shot out.
Holy mackerel.
So I just kind of moved over and I was driving and got off 55 and went to the terminal. And there was 4 bullet holes. You have those air scoops, you know, now they can't.
Yep, yep.
And in the mirror there was 4 bullet holes in
Oh,
there.
that's a little scary.
Well, I never told her about it because she always worried about me on the road anyway.
Well, Cicero, Illinois is kind of a bad place anyway, isn't it? I mean, as far as I've heard stories about Cicero.
Yeah, you don't want to drive down Cicero Avenue at night.
Oh, that's what it is, okay.
Unless you got 2, 3 buddies with trucks too.
Yeah. Because I'd heard about that before.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There are places around the country you don't want to get stuck in during the day, let alone during the night. And I've accidentally driven my RV through some of those in the middle of the day, but I look and I says, this Watts place just doesn't look like I'd like to be here at night. And it was always the other. It was Brooklyn or something. It was what's the place up in New York? It's on Broadway. It's not Broadway. Anyway, I got stuck on there by accident. It's like when you're not a truck driver, you sort of think if I stay on a main street, it's sort of okay. But what I found out as an RVer is it's not always okay. But as a truck driver, you always plan ahead and you ask the other truckers and you say, where should I avoid? And you have all the scoop because you're responsible for that load behind you, right? Yeah, and you're much more responsible than when you're sitting in an RV driving for fun and looking. And that's sort of a spoiled trucker.
Yeah.
In my old age here.
Yeah. So tell me, when you guys started truck driving, did you have to have commercial license
Yes.
at that point
Yes.
also?
Yes. I did.
And to do that, didn't you actually have to drive a truck to take your tests?
Yeah, it was sort of a catch-22. You had to drive a truck to take a test, but you couldn't drive a truck to do it like.
Yeah.
It was. I got started trucking, and you probably all 3 of us, and on the farm. Did you drive on the farm?
Not a truck. No.
I drove a
Tractor.
truck. I used to drive a truck. You know, like for the combines, you drive along and
Yeah. Well, we
next
were
to the combine, and they would put the wheat. They'd drop the wheat into the truck, and you'd drive along parallel with it. I mean, I was a young truck driver. When I was 13, I was picked up for driving without a license in Albert Lee, driving my dad's truck.
That's a little young.
I was a little young, and the policeman said I wouldn't have stopped you, only I could barely see your head over the door. It was like Saturday night, Star Tribune. Dad had his truck, and we would go on these routes down. All of us said you drove those, and you'd drop off bundles of paper. Well, he was really tired that night, so I drove for him, and I'd driven for him over a year and a half. But I just drive out in the country and not in any. Well, he would just fell asleep, and I says, "Oh, I think I can make it through Albert Lee." Nah, mistake. He had to pay like a couple $100.
Oh boy.
I didn't get any fine. He got the fine.
Yeah. Didn't go on your license either because you didn't have one.
I never had that problem.
Well, I bet you got stopped a lot of times by the highway patrol or the truck regulatory to check your loads and stuff for weight. Did they ever do that?
Scale.
Or driving down the highway. Didn't they used to stop trucks going down the highway too, or was it basically at the scales?
I've never been stopped by a highway patrol.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's total luck.
Yeah, because every once in a while you see alongside the road, you'll see a like a truck pulled over and then a truck regulatory behind them, you know?
Yeah.
What are they doing? They checking with their portable scales, maybe, or
I would have no idea.
Little of that, little equipment.
equipment, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little different now. They got more.
Wonder.
I think they're more regulated now. I think they had more exotic. The old times, I think, when you had just a few trucking lines, they were much more cautious about sending the rigs out.
Oh yeah. We weighed everything before we ever drove.
Yeah, you guys.
They have a scale at the terminal.
Yeah, we did too. I remember that. They always weighed before they left.
Absolutely.
Before they went on the road.
Yeah.
See, Al, you know, we have to tell these folks, Al is married to the beautiful, wonderful, talented Angie Senger, who is part of our radio show.
Yes, she is.
And has Angie ever gone with you on any of your runs?
I took her with me when I had my own rig for a couple of years, and I took her twice. When I took her to Chicago a couple of times.
Wow.
But that was it.
You didn't let her drive?
Yet. Oh God, she don't know.
You didn't hear that, Angie.
She wouldn't know first gear from 10. No.
We might have to.
She can drive the car. Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
She would. That was not in her.
She was not interested in it.
No way.
No, she wasn't interested. So if you're not interested, there's nothing on it.
She
But
just rode for me out of curiosity to see what it was like on
On the road,
on the road.
Sure, absolutely.
Found out all the things, that she thought you were, that you had all this fun and she had to be at home. And now she found out what you wrote a couple times.
It was not that.
And listen, it really helped her to write her truck driving songs.
It was her. It's Al's truck.
Well,
driver.
yeah, Al's.
The
Yeah,
truck,
Al's
the
and
truck
hers,
driver's dream was Al's song.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was a great song.
Yeah, the only reason why I wrote it was I got delayed in Chicago, and usually we got, drove at night and got back to St. Paul at 8:30 in the morning, but I got delayed down there, and I didn't get in until like 2:30 in the afternoon, which means I couldn't go out until, 10 hours later. So I decided to go have a beer when I got home, and I was listening to this song on the radio about a hobo on a train, and I thought, what about truck drivers?
Yeah.
So I got a piece of paper and pencil and started writing some lines down as she come home from work. She worked at the school district, and told her, I said, sing this. Put some music to it, sing it. And she did. She said, where'd you get that? And I said, never mind, just
Yeah.
So she
Boy.
changed a couple of things on it. That was back in '94.
Wow.
She didn't put it on her CD until 2005. I think.
Wow. Takes a while. Takes a while.
She liked it. She put the music aside, her paperwork piles up, and it got lost. The rest is history.
I heard on the other song, the other truck driver song, that you gave her a lecture. She was going to tell about the other woman, and then he just sat down and says, "That's not the way it is."
No.
And so, after I don't know how long the discussion was, she changed the words. It was what?
That was a long time ago. I don't even remember. I think that was a year after I wrote mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. It's like the interaction. The women remember all those interactions more than us guys. I mean, it sort of just they just slipped that, but then they'll tell you, 10 years later, down to the minute word,
Yeah.
or the way they heard it
They seem to have a good memory.
on those things.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, that's the only song I ever wrote.
Well, you did it. Oh, that's one of my super favorites. We've got to get a whole bunch more truck drivers and drivers and road songs and create a on the road album, with all just these roads.
Well, there's a lot of artists out there that have written trucker songs.
I know. We just have to sort of accumulate.
See, Al, being on the road, being in the trucking business, did you ever meet Dave Dudley, who was not a truck driver, but wrote a lot of truck driving songs? Did you ever meet him?
No.
Okay. Now, I never knew this about Dave Dudley, but everybody thought, Jesus, Dave Dudley writes all this truck driving, sings all these truck driving songs. You remember who he is?
I've heard him. I've heard from him.
Yeah.
And I was reading about him in his bio, and he never drove a truck.
Wow, that's funny.
But he knew all about.
But he may have spent time at truck stops.
Yeah, he may have. Al, I know you like coffee. Is that part of truck drivers? Because you guys probably had to drink coffee to stay awake a lot of times when you're driving on the road.
Well, yeah, when I was on the road, it was always, we never drove in the daytime, it was always at night.
Always
Yeah.
at night.
Yeah.
Man.
You know,
It's nicer driving at night. You don't have the sun in your eyes. And
well, you don't have the traffic.
you don't have as much traffic. Yeah, except when the weather gets bad.
I remember all the truckers coming out of Minneapolis to Moorhead, they all had thermoses. Some had 2, 3 thermoses full of coffee.
Oh,
They
yeah.
come in, they drive at night, they come
Yeah.
in early in the morning with their truck.
Right, yeah, I always had a thermos,
They were always drinking
CB
coffee.
radio, thermos, and the coffee cup.
That's
And
right.
CB radio was really important too.
Well, yeah, you always knew what was going on
Okay.
50 miles down the road.
Absolutely, yeah.
You don't hear that so much today.
Yep,
Well,
no.
back when the CDs became popular, everybody tuned into 19, I think, wasn't it? The truckers channel, because they knew exactly what was going on by the way the truckers were communicating.
Not
Yeah,
easy
we
to
knew
know.
what was going on 100 miles down the
Yeah,
road.
so
Yeah.
that was pretty important.
Well, I think we have sat and talked. Just we didn't know what to say, but I think we have communicated quite a little.
You mean it's over?
Yeah.
Time to hit the road.
I just
So I'll say Al Senger, OMS Stories. That's what you say.
Al
Smile.
Singer-
There.
Al Singer, Old Man Stories.
Roland Willits, OMS Stories.
Ron Honrud, Old Man Stories.
Yes.
Hope you enjoy this.
but refuse to write tickets.